What's up, everyone? It's Bryan from the Exact IT Solutions YouTube channel, and welcome to another video where we educate you about all things cybersecurity and make you a little bit smarter about what cyber criminals are out there doing today, because as we know, they're always changing their tactics. So in today's video, I'm going to cover some interesting stats around ransomware that I've brought to attention on this channel before. And I've also talked about them on some news articles that I've been quoted in recently. And we'll go through that today. And then I'm going to take you onto the dark web for a little bit and show you what the heck is going on over there with these ransomware groups, because I think it's interesting and I think people need to know about this stuff. And we're going to go do that. So before we jump into the content, remember, I don't get paid for the channel. I don't do annoying ads in the middle of this video. If you like my content, if you're educated, I just ask that you hit the like button so other people can find this content and be educated just like you. And if you're so inclined, please subscribe to my channel and share me out to your friends and family on social media by clicking that little share button down there. So without further ado, let's jump into the content for today. All right, so up on the screen, I have a report here out of CBS News where 80% of ransomware victims suffer repeat attacks, according to a new report. And there's some interesting data that has come out of this report that I'm going to go through with you that is in this article. But I'm also going to point out some things that I've been saying on this channel for a long time and what I've been preaching about this kind of stuff that this article really doesn't touch on, in my opinion, and is the core reason why companies get attacked again. So if you ever happen to be a company that has the unfortunate experience of going through ransomware, you're going to want to heed my advice in this video and keep it on file somewhere and save it, because this is really important stuff if you ever get attacked, and you need to do this the right way or you're going to end up like one of these 80% of companies, which is a really high number if you think about it. I mean, 8 out of every 10 companies that get ransomware get infected again, which is a pretty insane number. If you closed 80% of the deals that were thrown your way, or 80% of the business, or you sold 80% of your inventory, that's pretty damn good. So the article goes to start off with that as the list of known ransomware targets continues to expand amid the COVID-19 pandemic, victims run the risk of repeat cyber attacks, according to a new report published by a U.S. cybersecurity firm Wednesday. So it found that 80% of organizations that previously paid ransom demands confirm that they were exposed to a second attack, according to a commissioned survey of 1,263 cybersecurity professionals in varying industries in US, UK, Spain, Germany, France, and UAE, and Singapore. Once you have the ability to hack and the ability to collect anonymized money with Bitcoins, combine them together, and you suddenly get a very nice business model that enables you to collect a lot of money very quickly. So this goes on to throw out a lot of different stats about ransomware, a lot of things that I've covered on here with JBS Meat and DarkSide and Colonial Pipeline. I'll link to my DarkSide and Revel. I have a Revel deep dive video that I've done to talk about that hacking group and what they do. So if you're interested in learning about that, I'll drop a card right around here to you can go to that video. But last year, ransomware, hit a lot of companies. They hit Pitney Bowes for a second time in less than a year. Toll Group in Australia, they got hit multiple times, which I've talked about on this channel. And we've seen this pattern where these cyber criminals are getting access and maintaining their access because companies aren't doing the right thing on the other side of the event, where they need to do certain things in order to make sure that cyber criminals can't get back in or use a back door that they may have planted to then get back in later on down the road. Christopher Wray, our FBI director here in the US, told lawmakers that this cyber threat of ransomware is increasing almost exponentially. He added that the federal government is currently investigating 100 different ransomware variants, and each of these 100 has dozens, if not hundreds, of victims. So you have 100 variants out there with hundreds and dozens of victims. And I'm going to show you in a little bit, as I'm going to go on the dark web and share my screen and show you some of these victims and how kind of prevalent it is and what this stuff means. 66% of victim organizations have accounted for significant revenue loss due to ransomware attacks. And that's a big problem that business leaders are failing to understand at this point. That it's not just the cost of the ransom demand that you have to pay. There are a lot of other costs, which this article actually does a very good job of going through and detailing things that I talk about all the time on this channel. And knowing that 66% of victim organizations have accounted for significant revenue loss, significant, meaning it wasn't 20,000, it wasn't just the ransom payment, it was, a lot more than that. And some of the things that they're talking about are needing to hire a breach coach, needing to report the event and provide proper protections for employees and customers through credit monitoring and things like that. You have to bring in forensic investigators and a team of people to figure out what happened, who, what, where, and when, and why, and how. This all costs companies a lot of money. 53% of the people reporting that their brand suffered following the ransomware attack, right? Because even if it doesn't make public, which only about 1 in every 20, less than 5%, actually make it into the public purvey and view, and the public knows about it. A lot of these smaller companies and private companies don't disclose this stuff. They might have to tell their customers in fear that their customers might get a call from a cyber criminal or from somebody who's going to tell them that their information is out on the dark web. But this is real. I mean, this stuff is happening. A quarter of the businesses surveyed ultimately shut down their organization. So if 25% of the companies that got surveyed, of these 1,200 companies, 25% of them had to shut down their business, with nearly 1 in 3 losing top leadership. So, 33% at least lost top leadership, either by dismissal or resignation. And then 29% were forced to eliminate jobs from their company. The problem people don't understand is that when you pay the ransom, you're not flipping a switch. The hackers give you the keys to decrypt your own machines, but you need to go one by one to restore them. And then the article goes on to talk about some more things about certain companies and things that happen within their organization. They mentioned that Joseph Blunt, the CEO of Colonial Pipeline, said the decryption keys provided by DarkSide hackers to the company to regain control of its system following the ransomware payment were advantageous but not a perfect fix. Blount said it took a month after Colonial Pipeline paid DarkSide the ransom to bring its financial systems back online, and the efforts to restore the company's operations are still quote-unquote ongoing. Ransomware attacks have proven to be expensive for victims, and companies are saying that prevention methods can be costly as well, according to a new survey from cybersecurity firm Cobalt. Nearly 6 in 10 cybersecurity professionals at companies with more than 500 employees said an important prevention practice known as penetration testing is too expensive. More than 40% said that their company does not have the budget for penetration tests. Now, just like our lawmakers challenged Mr. Blunt at his hearing a couple weeks ago on the Colonial Pipeline hack, they were very forthright in pointing out how much the executives of Colonial Pipeline are paid and how many millions of dollars these executives are paid, right? I would venture to say that a lot of these companies that are claiming that pen tests and security tests are too expensive are paying their executives a hell of a lot more money than they're investing in cybersecurity, because I see it all the time. I see these companies investing in things, investing in marketing, investing in all these things, and they're not investing in proper cybersecurity practices. Pen tests usually cost, depending on the size of your company and what you're pen testing, they probably start somewhere around $10,000 and go up from there. And the bigger your company, the more expensive it's going to be. $10,000 for a company that does 8-10 million a year should not be viewed as expensive. If you're not budgeting 6% of your total top line revenue to IT and, more importantly, cybersecurity, you're underspending in that area and you're just used to it, and nobody has taught you and explained to you that you're underspending in these areas. So your perception of what this stuff costs is what you've historically paid for it in the past, which has probably been well under what you need to pay today in today's environment. And cyber criminals are taking advantage of this. They're taking advantage of the fact that they know you're not spending enough and you don't have the resources to combat them right now. And they're winning this war, and they're going to continue to win the war. And when I see articles like this written, and quite frankly, they don't really get to the crux of the issue with reinfection. They just go into talking about more high level things and data behind ransomware. The reality of it is I'm here to educate you and educate you as a business leader and business owner on what the real problem is. And the real problem, quite frankly, is simply this. We have a problem here with people not doing the right thing on recovery when you get hit with a ransom. So I was quoted in Forbes, and here it is up on the screen. And the Forbes article I was quoted on, in the second paragraph, I explained that with ransomware, once they get it on there, and once your team comes in to determine what happened, the team needs to figure out and determine if data was exfiltrated and what levers they have to reduce the ransom demand, if at all. Once they decide to pay the ransom or not, Colonial is still looking at a heavy investment for new infrastructure because you can't rebuild on the same network that was infected. You're starting over. And that was the advice I gave when I was interviewed on Forbes. And it still is true today. And this is what people need to start realizing, is that you're going to have to buy all new equipment when you get hit with ransomware, unless you want to be one of these 80% of ransomware victims that suffer repeat attacks, according to a new report. So this shouldn't come as any surprise to people that 80% of companies are being re-attacked when all they're doing is running the decryptor tool that the hackers give them. They're not doing everything that they need to do. You're not doing everything you need to do from a prevention standpoint, and you're not doing everything that you need to do from a recovery standpoint after you get hit. I'm kind of curious as to who these cybersecurity firms that are coming in and advising these companies, who they are and what they're doing and what they're telling them, because you can't be recovering to the same systems. Now, unless they're going about this on their own, then I guess the 80% makes sense. But I got to believe that there's IT or such cybersecurity professionals involved in the decision making behind some of these companies that have been reinfected, the 80%. And, heed my advice. Heed my advice here. Heed my advice that I said on Forbes. You get hit with ransomware, get yourself a shopping list in place today so you know exactly what you need to buy so your company can start putting data and restoring data to new infrastructure after you get hit with ransomware, because ultimately that's what has to happen. I know that that's not what you want to hear. I know you want to hear that's too expensive. I can't buy all new stuff. Well, you're going to get reinfected if you don't do that. So that's your choice. You have a choice to accept the risk of getting reinfected, and more than likely you will. Probably a 1 in 8 or an 8 in 10 chance. Or you can get ready and have that shopping list ready to buy new equipment, because if you have an event, the first thing you want to do is order that new equipment so it's there as quick as possible. So that's how you recover, folks. It's not pretty, but that's the God's honest truth, and that's how you get through a ransomware attack and a ransomware event. So again, this is the same story over on ZDNet. Most firms face a second ransomware attack after paying off first. So our buddy Joe Biden and buddy Vladimir Putin decided to have a little summit, and they're going to, talk about ransomware. And why are they going to talk about ransomware? Well, because Joe Biden wants to talk about ransomware because he's tired of the heat that he's getting for all these companies in the U.S. who seem to be getting taken advantage of by what seem to be Russian hackers. So the U.S. is basically accusing private Russian citizens of banding together, forming these hacking groups, these ransomware groups, and extorting United States-based companies for money by locking their files and doing what ransomware does. So Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin are going to get together. They're going to talk about this. So here are the two big things you need to know out of this little summit that's going on. I've already explained kind of the U.S.'s position. The U.S. is like, hey, we want you to help us get to these criminals. We consider them criminals. We don't want you hiding them and protecting them. So please, help us and help us get to these people because, we don't want to deal with ransomware. I'm sure you don't want to be dealing with ransomware. So there's this whole back and forth of like, we should be able to get in and prosecute these guys. And we're saying that they're in your country. Vladimir Putin's stance is that you're making all these accusations, but you're not giving me any proof, or you don't have any proof that these people are based in Russia. So we don't have any reason to help you because we have no reason to believe that these are Russian citizens who are doing this. So it's an interesting dynamic here that's going on. It'd be interesting to find out or see what happens after the summit to see if maybe behind closed doors the U.S. actually presents Putin with evidence. And who's to say he's going to accept the evidence as being true? Because as we know, from past history, he's questioned some of the things that our country has put forward. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. But they are pushing for, a lot of things, and they're going to talk about cyber and ransomware, which is up on the screen here. And the article by Reuters here goes on to say that ransomware attacks by criminals reportedly linked to Russia that have twice targeted critical American infrastructure are a concern for the U.S. The FBI has not disclosed any evidence showing Russian government involvement in the attacks on the U.S. fuel transporter Colonial Pipeline and meatpacker JBS, and Putin says the idea that Russia was responsible is absurd. But Biden intends to bring up the issue and has suggested he wants Russian authorities to crack down on such cyber criminals. Putin has said Moscow would be willing to hand over suspects if any deal cuts both ways. Biden is also likely to raise U.S. concern over Russian cyber meddling in the U.S. politics, something Moscow, which is pushing for a cyber non-interference pact, denies. So, reading between the lines here, he's basically saying that if they would be willing to hand over suspects if any deal cuts both ways, which basically means we will give you cyber criminals if you give us, people that you've arrested for, spying or whatever, what have you. The U.S. has arrested Russian citizens for certain things, and it would be a trade-off. You give us, somebody, and we'll give you cyber criminals, or it could be, we'll release cyber criminals if you, get rid of these sanctions that you put on us and things like that. So it's interesting that geopolitics has entered into the cybersecurity world. But really, at the end of the day, I believe that there are certain countries in this world who are using ransomware and cyber criminals to advance their political and geopolitical motives. So you can do your own research there, but that's where we're at with that. So I'm going to jump into here in a second. I'm going to bring up my screen, and I'm going to share some dark web stuff with you. Now, my intention here is to educate and not out anybody, but in the process of doing this, we're going to end up outing some companies that have been breached by cyber criminals. Now, I don't believe this is outing anybody, because anybody can figure out how to do a Tor browser, and anybody can figure out how to get on the dark web and go to these websites and learn this stuff. I'm not doing anything special here. I'm not doing anything that anybody couldn't learn how to do in probably, less than 2 or 3 hours. So I don't feel like I'm outing any company, because even though this isn't on the surface web, this is in the deep web. It's really not that difficult to get to, and quite frankly, it's out there. I've seen screenshots on other publications, other websites, on social media. So I'm not the first one to disclose this kind of stuff, and I certainly won't be the last. So, in the comment section, don't get all pissed off at me because I'm sharing this stuff. It's out there. That's your opinion. If you think this stuff should stay, deep in the dark web where nobody can really see it, but that's a fallacy. Really, it's out there. People can see it. People can get to it. It's not that difficult. So you're not really hiding anything from anybody. So here we go. I'm going to jump into the dark web. All right. So up on my screen, I have a few sites that I brought up for the dark web. And these are what are known as ransomware group PR sites or leak sites. And what they do is they go through the leaks. They have the leaks of all the companies that will not negotiate with them. So what you can take from this is that if a company gets hit, the only ones that show up here are the ones who do not negotiate with the ransomware hackers. If you have ransomware and you are negotiating or you are paying the ransom, you won't end up here, because they're not trying to publicly shame you and get you to pay them money, because you already have. It's only when you don't negotiate or you don't pay that they come to these sites and start dumping your data and start telling people that they have control of your network, or they were able to hack your network, or you had security vulnerabilities. And I'm going to kind of give you a look at what the mindset is of these guys. So one of the things that we see commonly with these ransomware hackers is that they position themselves as people who found security vulnerabilities within your network or at your company, and they're here to help you. But unfortunately, because they broke in first, and maybe not an ethical hacker or your own team, they want to get paid for their services, which are providing security services. And the way they do that is by deploying ransomware, locking your files, so they get paid. And then once they get paid, a lot of other things happen. One of them is that they could give you a report on all your vulnerabilities and a way to fix them. A lot of times they just reinfect, as we saw with the 80%. They just reinfect your network with other types of malware, ransomware, or other types of backdoors and things like that. So up on my screen here, the first one that I have up is Ragnarlocker leak site. And right now they have a wall of shame. It doesn't get updated as much as some other ransomware groups, but the interesting thing is that it could point to the success of Ragnar getting paid, or it could be that they just don't hit that many people. But right now they have a big one, and I posted this on social media. Right now they have A-Data. A-Data is well, let's just go into it, because they actually tell you what A-Data is. And the dark web is a little bit slower. I liken it to back in the day when you used to go on a dial-up modem. The dark web, a lot of these sites run a lot like that. So let me just click back on this one. But the A-Data is a technology company. And they basically are saying the first batch of downloaded links is already available, and that's the previous blog post. Soon the archives of more data will be uploaded. Please follow our leak blog. And one earmarker of all these blogs is broken English is usually part of this. Let's see if we can get into the original post. So this is the original post. AData is in California, and they are a memory and storage manufacturer. They're a huge corporation with more than 1,400 employees. And this is what's on Ragnar's site. They give you the information. A huge corporation with more than 1,400 employees and international offices. And they go on and they say they didn't care much about the privacy and security of their systems. And that leads to infiltration of the whole network as well as compromised data. Actually, the security measures are so badly arranged, so we were able to download imperceptibly about 1.5 terabytes of sensitive data, which is carefully gathered for quite a long time. So then, as usual, we did offer to cooperate to fix the vulnerabilities and to restore their system, and of course, avoid any publication regarding this issue. However, they didn't value much their own private information, as well as partners, clients, employees, customer information. Well, according to our rules, we have to notify society and warn everyone who's associated to AData that they don't care about the safety of the information collected on their servers. Soon, here will be uploaded corporate data. Please follow up. So these are the initial 1.5 terabytes of data, and you can download them right here, right on this website. They also like to do some screenshots. They do this from time to time, more often than not, of contracts, important documents that may have certain people's information in them. They will show you folder and file lists like you're seeing here. And it's kind of like a brag on here's what we have for you. And as you can see, this goes pretty deep and goes down pretty far. And it's just a teaser to say to AData and the people at AData that we have your stuff. And we're going to continue to release it if you continue to not work with us. And as you can see, it's, quite frankly, pretty bold and pretty brazen. Now, that was released on June 5th, and then they updated today on June 16th. And then there's other ones here, like Web Help Companies Extra Source. This was released on 5/25, but they had an update on 6/4. Ludwig, Piper, Bankers Data. There's all these companies that have had their data stolen dating back to the beginning of the year. And it's all out there. Like this Cornerstone BB group leaked 2 terabytes of data, originally posted on 1/26/21. Now I'm assuming because this information is still here and the blog post is still here and it's accessible, that leads me to believe that this company has yet to negotiate or pay anything to these criminal hackers. So I'm going to jump over to another site here. I hate these things. I don't know why I have to do these on dark web hacker sites, but we'll do the caption. We'll play the little game here. By the way, I am on a Kali Linux box here. I would not recommend going on the dark web with Windows, quite frankly, and just make sure you protect yourself. Use VPNs and stuff like that. I am connected to a VPN here right now. So we got this group called Doppel, and they are another ransomware group. And right off the top here, we have back from April of 2021 this Briggs Corporation, and they're still out here. And as you can see with this site as well, Illinois Attorney General, Berkshire Hathaway Automotive. These are all companies that have been hit, big companies. As you can see, Union High School, McCurley Integrity Dealerships. These are all companies that have been hit, and the list goes on and on and on. I'm not sure if they have like multiple pages. They do. Goes pretty deep here, and a lot of these were published this year, 2021, 2021. I'm not sure how they order things on this site, but it's all 2021. It seems like things haven't been updated too much since April, but a lot of these were hit in 2021, and you can see them all here. And these are all companies that have had information released. So if we look at the Briggs Corporation. They just post here, just like Ragnar did. With more than 75 years of experience as a leader in a wide range of industry offerings, Briggs has earned a strong reputation of honesty, integrity, expertise in healthcare compliance and reimbursement support, consulting and education, home care, personal wellness, and more. And then these are all the files that they have released. They also have released the machine name. So if you're in IT, you kind of understand what this stuff is. Network information, domain information, is all here, and you can click here to see the full list of everything that they've uploaded so far. But here's the company. I mean, they're still operational. They're here today. Briggs, the name you can trust. You know, just like the article said a few minutes ago, I don't know how much you can trust Briggs when they're sitting out here on the dark web flapping in the wind with information that I could just start downloading right now. Budget information, accounting, contract services, finance. It's all here for the taking for anybody who wants to go in and get this stuff. So pretty crazy. So last but not least, our friends over at the Happy Blog. The Happy Blog is the Revel hacking group's website. The dark side website has actually been shut down. The people behind Colonial Pipeline, but the people behind JBS Meat, they don't seem to be having any issues, and they continue to operate to this day. And as you can see up on the screen, I have istaff.com at Work Professional. This was recently released, and it tells you we downloaded whole file server. There are thousands of CVs, that's resumes, employee personal information, a bio, phones, date of birth, social security number, project information, cyber insurance information, finance reports, and so on and so on. So the interesting thing behind this is you have your policy here, how much coverage you have. When you get hit with ransomware, the last thing you want the hackers to know is that you have cyber insurance and how much you have. It's really like the last thing you want them to know, because now all your leverage is gone. And I mentioned that in my Forbes article, that you want to make sure that you keep things tight to the vest so you can use as much leverage as possible to try to reduce that. When you have things like this out there that are contracts and information about how much insurance coverage you have, you're dead in the water, because they're going to ask for that information right off the bat, right? Cyber extortion. Per claim sublimit of liability includes claim expenses. Cyber extortion, $1 million. Aggregate of liability, $1 million. So that means you have a $1 million cap. So if I'm a cyber criminal, I know I can hit you for $1 million, and it's not going to cost you anything but your deductible. And now I'm going to use that as leverage to get paid more money. And that's the information. And there's all kinds of dumps in here. Driver's licenses. And again, I'm not the one putting this stuff out here. The criminals are. It's here for anybody to look at. PM law solicitors in Sheffield in the UK, they're on here. Feedback Technology Corp, they're here. These are all companies that are not negotiating with the Revel hacking group, and Revel is putting things out there like drawings onto the web for products and proprietary information. These groups are, this stuff is out there. Now, these contractors could do a lot of different things. Like, we know there's a federal contractor who works with the Department of Energy and works with nuclear weapons, was recently hacked. But these guys provide semiconductor, LCD, LED, and vacuum industry with best product and total solution by teamwork, innovation, and strategy revolution. So this is a Taiwanese company that's, has their proprietary company drawings being put out on the dark web. Whittlesey and Hadley, they are one of the largest regional firms in New England, who recently recognized by Accounting Today as a firm to watch, right? So they go in, they find all these, they pull it from your website, they take it from your website, and they list what the company does, and they use your language on your website, like you're honest and you have integrity and you care about people, and they use that against you in these releases when they write these posts up. Whittlesey provides business and nonprofit organizations with personalized services to optimize their technology, including network security and information system reviews, with specialization in the areas of nonprofit technology, system support, and cybersecurity. So, God, man, this, like, as a company who does this kind of stuff and has system support and cybersecurity, the last thing you want is being on the happy blog with 200 gigabytes of critical data from your file servers, including internal company documents and customer data. We are ready to publish all data step by step if you do not contact us. And they give you screenshots of the data and things that they have. These are clearly QuickBooks profit and loss statements. They have a Northwest Mutual, TD Ameritrade statements. There's all kinds of stuff. West Congress Insurance Services, another one through that. I don't know what that is about, but you can come on here and read about it. There's a lot of different things going on here. Big data breach from a German company. Arnoff Moving and Storage. Again, the data's out there, W-9 forms. These are all being published out there for your employees. Like, I just want to give everybody a realistic look at what the heck is out there, and it's not difficult to get to this stuff. Any Joe can get to this stuff. A law firm in Florida here, Michael B. Brenne. If you know this guy, you might want to reach out to him and tell him his stuff is out there on the dark web. 142 gigabytes of critical data has been stolen from his servers and published on the dark web by the rebel hacking group. Passwords, a list of passwords right here on the dark web. Not good, folks. Not good at all. So I'm going to drop it off right there and end it. I hope you found this valuable, because, you know, this stuff is just crazy. The stuff that we're seeing. A lot of this stuff is now hitting mainstream media. But I wanted to give you guys a look at kind of my world and the stuff that I deal with and what I see on a daily basis, because I see a lot more than the average bear. And I think this was a good way to kind of open people's eyes on what's really going on out there, how these hackers are positioning themselves, and really what's going on. So, you know, I look forward to bringing you more content like this. If you liked it, please drop it in the comments below. This is the first time I really went on the dark web on YouTube, so I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm hoping I don't get dinged by YouTube too much for doing something like this. But this stuff is real, folks. So if you have any questions, comments, drop them below. Other than that, check out the links in the description. We got offers for free hack risk evaluations, all kinds of good stuff to help you start protecting yourself. But do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and if you would, share our content to your friends and family. I really appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Take care.